We have a lot to cover today, so I'm just going to dive right in. Now, one thing I want to start with is a few key customer service concepts and mindsets. And the first one is the age old question of why do satisfied customers tell 9 people or so about their great experience with you, while dissatisfied customers tell 12 to 15? And 13% of them, by the way, will tell up to 20 people or more in person, over the phone, personally. So that doesn't even take into account those who are telling 5,000 of their closest friends all about their experience with you on social media. And why is that? Why is it that people do that kind of thing? Well, it's because our members expect to have a good experience with us. So it is no surprise when it happens. In fact, that's the same with any organization at all. They hire you because they think that you're going to be able to do a good job for them. So what happens when it doesn't work out that way is it's a shock. And that shock is what they start talking about. So, what we have to do is remember that those strong experiences that they have when they're shocked like that produce strong emotional responses. And it is difficult to forget events that cause strong emotional responses. And we can remember that if we can produce those strong emotional responses inadvertently with our experiences, then we can absolutely intentionally create strong emotional responses with our wow experiences that we craft and intentionally deliver. Because people simply can't help but talk about memorable events. It's human nature. Think about it. If you go on vacation and somebody asks you when you come back, how was the vacation? And you say, it was good. It was great. Sunshine. Oh, yeah, it was wonderful. Wow. Who wants to hear that story, right? They want to hear the really great, wow, you wouldn't believe the sunsets we saw on the beach, or the you wouldn't believe what happened to us kind of story. And those are the things to get passed around. And because of this trait of human nature, we have to remember that a merely good member experience is a death sentence because no one wants to talk about it. They won't be recommending you. Nothing happens when it's merely good. We have to create great or wow experiences, even if we think the person is unwowable. Now, here's one more mindset for you to remember. Customers are up to 8 times more loyal after having a customer service issue resolved with a wow than if they'd never had a problem at all. Now, this doesn't mean to go out and create problems so that then you can solve them and get them more loyal, but it does mean that the reason this happens is that when something goes wrong, as we all know it will, listen, we're all human. Technology doesn't work right all the time. There are many, many things that can go wrong, and reasonable people understand that. But when they go wrong, how we react to it and how we treat our members in the process says more about us than anything that we can do when times are good. See, anybody can deliver a great experience when things go well. But it's when things go wrong, how we deliver the wows in that case, that our people will remember much more than anything else. So remember, you have an opportunity to show who you are, to show what you're made of when things go wrong. And I love this quote. It's by Horace. And now look at the years that he lived, 65 to 8 BC. And he says adversity has the effect of eliciting talents which in prosperous circumstances would have lain dormant. Wow, look at that. This kind of thinking and mindset has been around forever. So we have to remember we can show our stuff and show what we're made of when there are difficult and challenging circumstances. So if we're going to create the wows, we have to look at what do our members really want. Well, in addition to the physical and business needs that they have, which are, the product or the service that they've joined the co-op to get, they've hired us basically to deliver to us. Then we have to remember the personal side. And what every human being on the planet wants, in addition to the physical and business needs, is to be valued, appreciated, and listened to. Think about that too. When you call someone, especially if something is wrong, what do you want? You want to know that that person values your business enough to take you seriously, to appreciate what you bring to the table for them so they can stay in business, and that you want to be listened to. You want to know that they're listening to what you have to say. That's what we want in any given situation. And we can never assume that just because they're receiving the physical or business needs of the product or service, that we're actually making them feel valued, appreciated, and listened to. So watch for every opportunity to thank your member, to show them that you care, to make sure that you over deliver on everything that you give to them. And that is how we create wow experiences. But contrary to popular belief, creating the wow is not all about the big, flashy, one-time actions that create fleeting impact and then are gone. No, it's about the small, everyday actions that we take to create lasting impressions on everyone we interact with. And we all know that it's what we do every single day to be the best that we can be and to bring out the best in everyone around us that even makes the big wows possible. So think about how you can create those wows by doing small things. In fact, I don't know if you've ever seen the 212 movie, but it is fantastic. If you haven't seen it, now it used to be at www.212movie.com. They moved it for a while, but it could be back. But even if you can't find it there, you can Google it or look on YouTube, and I'm sure you will find it. But the premise of the movie is this. At 211 degrees, water is hot. But at 212, what happens? You're all probably thinking, you know what happens. It boils. And with boiling water comes steam. And steam can power a locomotive. All it takes is one extra degree. So apply that to your job and your circumstance now. What is the one extra degree of experience? The one extra degree of compassion? The one extra degree of action that you can do to create wows for your members whenever they contact you, whether it's in person or over the phone. All it takes is a small, tiny little action, and all those little actions built upon each other together, consistently delivered, are what create the wows for our members. And here's a great example for you. I live in Orlando, Florida. Yes, I live in the house of the mouse. Disney World, as you can imagine, is a force to be reckoned with down here. But it's because they do so many things so well that they're internationally known all over the world. They're infamous. And as you can also imagine, the buildings, the rides, the exhibits, all the attractions are extremely expensive. In fact, they spend hundreds of millions of dollars creating those rides. I think I heard that Space Mountain itself years ago cost 150 to 200 million dollars to build. And it costs millions to maintain these rides and attractions every year as well. And yet, despite all the millions to create those big flashy wows, when they survey their guests to find out what they were most impressed with in the park, can anyone guess? Think about it in your minds. What do you think is the number one thing that comes out as a wow at Disney World? Well, in the interest of time, I will tell you it is the cleanliness of the park. The cleanliness of the park. They don't see any trash or paper on the ground, on the trams, in the exhibits, even in the food halls. There is no debris laying around. Now, think about that. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars spent creating big flashy exhibits, and the simple thing of keeping the park clean is what makes the biggest impression on people overall. Of course, they're there for the rides too, but that cleanliness makes a huge difference. So think about how you can do something small. What is your cleanliness of your organization? What is your trash on the ground that you can either do or get rid of to create a wow for your members? It's a simple thing, that when done well and done consistently creates that wow. And the reason we talk about those small things is because we all have a choice. Creating the wow is a matter of will. Will I or won't I? Will I or won't I do what is needed for this member at this exact moment, regardless of whether I'm tired today or I really don't feel like it or nobody's ever done that for me? What is it that you can do to get yourself and everyone around you to consistently answer this question with, I will? Remember, we all have a choice. And when we all choose to consistently do it, that's when we create that wow. Consistency is key. I mean, what if you went to Disney World? Let's go back to the Disney World example for a second. And you loved it and were so impressed with it the first time you went that when you went back home, you had to tell everybody about it, all your family, all your friends. Oh, we've got to go back. Now you bring everybody with you. But what if the second time you went there, the park wasn't so clean anymore? Or what if some of the rides were broken or under maintenance and you couldn't even get on them? Or what if Goofy was rude to your grandchild? Horrors. What would happen? See, because you got such a great wow the first time, that inconsistency undoes everything, undoes everything that was done the first time because you expected that from Disney when you went back and you didn't get it the second time. So think about when you create that consistency, one act of inconsistency can undo all the good that you've done with everything that you're trying to do overall. So be consistent because if we let up, we let our members down. Not to mention what we do to the organization as a whole and to each other in the process. And one more mindset. The number one reason that customers leave, can anybody in their minds think of that as well? The number one reason is not because of the product or service. Overall, this pertains to anyone in the customer service area or even anyone in your organization, any of your members. The number one reason that customers leave an organization is not because of the product or service. Only 14% leave because of that. The number one reason customers leave or your members would leave is because of the way they were treated by someone in the organization. And by the way, this pertains to employees as well. The number one reason that employees leave is not because of the product or the service or anything about the organization, but because of the way they were treated, usually by a supervisor or manager. People don't leave companies, they leave people. And members are people. So the way they're treated will determine whether or not they receive the wow we want to give them and stay, or they possibly receive an ow or so many ows that they finally say, I'm leaving. So here are 5 quick tips to help you deliver that wow experience. And the first one is to keep your eye on the goal. Ask yourself, what is my next action going to do? What am I trying to accomplish? And will my next action move me closer to the goal or further away from it? But think about that. What is your goal? Now, we all know that we have goals of the co-op. There are goals for your location, probably goals for your team and your department. Everyone knows what they are. You're all working together to create those hard, tangible goals. But I want to talk for a minute here about your personal goal for every interaction you have with a member or with each other. Your personal goal should be to wow every member every time. And the way that you focus on that is to ask yourself, if you ask that member right now, how do I make you feel? Then what would be their answer? Would their answer be that I make you feel better than you did when you started the call or visit? Do I make you feel worse? Or did I make you feel the same as when you started, which means it's pretty much a zero-sum game. They called, they really didn't get any response that satisfied them, and so they may as well not have bothered. If we make them feel worse, well, now we're behind the game. So our goal, our personal goal of every interaction should be to make them feel better, better than they did when they started the call or the visit. This pertains to whether or not we actually can do what they're asking us to do. See, even if we can't do that, we can make them feel better about working with you. Like, make them feel so happy that they got you when they called in because you were considerate and kind and you listened to them and showed them how much they were valued, even if you couldn't say yes to what they were asking for. Make them feel better about being a member of your co-op or using the co-op services. So that is your personal goal. And when everybody has this as a personal goal, then everybody together as a team will help the co-op, the location, the team, the department reach their goals as well. And we set the stage for doing that by remembering our etiquette.